And what was useful about that process is I wrote monologues. The premise of the structure was an artist painting women. The other monologues are the women she's painting. And the end character is selling the painting of herself. So that's what happened. And that was good enough. You know, that's what came from that, and I was like, oh, there's a seed here, something can come of this.
That was your 20-minute?
That was my 20-minute, that's all I got. And it was, I always knew that if I really wanted to do something with this, I could. Not that I knew I'd have time, or that I knew where it would take me, but there was enough there to see that with time and commitment, this could evolve. And then it was 2000. And Bush was elected. And I said to my dad on the phone, I said, we're going to war in Iraq again. And I don't know that I can do nothing. Not that I did nothing during the first war, but I just felt like I had to do something bigger. And so, and I knew how that 20-minute version was affecting people in the 2 performances I had at my college. You know, I mean, it did something to the people. They went, oh, I had no idea about this. So I said, okay, I want to do this. And then I set about the real journey. And it was different, because what came of that 20-minute version was I was sort of educated. They were going, wow, I had no idea. Iraqi women are like, they're educated, they do, you know, like all these, they don't wear veils, oh my God, you know, like these are the things. And so those things start as a premise, but then ultimately a good piece of theater isn't just an educational tool, it's a play. Yeah. So that's a long curve in the writing of, you know, coming to that. And I think that it took some time, and it took a lot of emotional research. I was excavating myself as much as I was excavating Iraqis that I could find and get my hands on.
Well, talk about that excavation process a little bit in terms of the work that you did in getting these women together in yourself, and then the research that you did to get their stories.
I had a good premise. I decided I wanted to research this real life artist.
The one who painted
the painting. So what I had was I had a good opening line. I had a good way of knocking on somebody's door and saying, hey, did you know this woman? Did you paint with her? Did you go to school with her? Do you know anybody that knew her? Now, the artist in my play is no longer that woman. I mean, the play is a piece of fiction in that very technical way. But my pursuit of this character was because I could ask about this real life person. As if somebody could come here and say, hey, did you know Marilyn Monroe? Did anybody, who do you know that knew her? Did you go to school with her? You know, it was journalistic in that way. What was great about that is, yes, I had my opening line, but then I met all these artists who were still doing the work. That real life artist had died in 1993. That's why her exhibition was at the museum. So by the time I saw her work, she had died a few months earlier. But the artists that I had met were still working. We're still working in the midst of various things going on with Iraq politically. So I had a great educational. I was being weaned by Iraqi artists. I was sitting in back rooms in London drinking whiskey while they're chain smoking, painting, and talking about the days of communism. Like, I mean, it's like, I didn't know I was going to get here, but here I am. You know, I mean, it was wildly exciting to be in a room of ex-communists. You know what I mean? That were just, you know, artists. That's thrilling and unexpected. You know, and then I met that, and like in London, I also met a Bedouin woman who is the furthest thing from a communist and the furthest thing from an artist, but this is deeply rich, emotional character. So these stories I collected, I would live them with the women, and then I would sort of, when I would meet somebody, I would go away in my journal and write everything I could possibly remember. But mostly the characters that came through meeting people were inspired by them spiritually, not in a verbatim text. I didn't have tape recorders. I didn't do anything that I would consider docudrama or journalistic. I lived with people for as long as I could, and Iraqis kind of like that. Once they like you, it's, are you moving in for a month? Like, they want to feed you, they want to get down with what they're going to say. So, and it was, I had to share as much of myself as I was asking them to share with me. So for instance, with this woman that I met, she was never going to tell me her full story unless I was showing that I was emotionally available and trustworthy. For instance, she had a kind of crazy love life, but the only person that mattered to her was this particular man. And she told me this sort of story of these two other men and some things about her job and some things about her parents over days. And when she finally told me this real story that was really close to her heart, when she was finally told me, she said, you know, all that other stuff, I was just testing you. Huh? I'm like, you spent days testing me? She's like, yeah. Like, I wanted to see how you reacted to all these things that I was going to say. And she said, and you didn't judge this, and you didn't judge that, and you didn't tell me I shouldn't that, or you didn't tell me I should leave with this and this. She said, so I knew I could tell you this. But this is after days. I mean, it's not like in a half-hour conversation.
Was that consistent with other people that you met?
It was after it was sort of, I figured out it was.
Yeah.
Of a certain kind of person. Yeah. It is absolutely an Iraqi trait. They're not going to trust you immediately. But then the other woman, the artist, she thought I was a spy. But she said, well, I didn't know. Who was calling me up asking me about if I know this artist? She said, I thought for sure you were a spy. So I came to the door with flowers and, you know, she's making me tea and it's all the niceties. But within 6 hours, I was at her art studio with the other, you know, artists. And one of the other ones told me, oh, she doesn't like anybody. She would never bring anybody here. She must really love you. So I guess that was shorter. That was 6 hours. 6 hours is not days.
Yeah, compared to 3 or 4 days. Yeah. I was just wondering, in terms of once you, at what point did you say, I have a play, I'm ready to have it directed, or I'm ready to go on stage, I'm ready to really put this up? Did you shop it to theaters, or? The fire that I had was that the Iraq War was coming, and then it was there. So I think even though I might not have felt ready, I had to be ready. So what I had was monologues. What I knew I had was I had these characters channeled, and they were sort of there like a poem or a song. They had a sort of interesting shape and an interesting existence, but they were not. The sum of their parts wasn't defined yet, and wasn't more than just these monologues. And that's what I knew the play needed to be. I wanted the form and the structure of the play to be saying something. And at that time, I didn't even know if it was a one-person show or a multi-character. Like, I didn't care. Finding the structure of this was going to be the journey of making the play. And at that time, I didn't have the luxury of any sort of writing workshops or this theater saying, come make us your home, we'll fund this, that, or the other, you can do readings, you can do, you know. So I was asking directors I knew to read it and see what they thought. I was asking, you know. So this process was happening. And an opportunity to do it in Edinburgh at the Fringe Festival came. And it was summer of 2003. So the timing was really